Giants. We've all faced them at some point in our lives, those seemingly insurmountable challenges that loom large and threaten to overwhelm us. But what if I told you that giants aren't just a metaphor? In today's episode of Morning Coffee and Bible, we're diving into the mysterious and fascinating world of the Nephilim, those legendary giants mentioned in the Bible. We'll explore their origins, the different interpretations of their existence, and how they might connect to our own struggles. We'll also take a journey through history, rediscovering ancient texts like the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Book of Enoch, and see how these writings have influenced our understanding of the Nephilim. And to top it all off, we'll connect these ancient mysteries to New Testament writings and discuss the concept of Tartarus, the abyss, where fallen angels are said to be imprisoned. So, are you ready to uncover the giants of the past and find inspiration for overcoming the giants in your own life? Let's go!
So we hold on and enjoy the ride. After all the ups and downs, this is our time. Enjoy the ride.
Oh, I still don't know what that means. We're gonna find out what that means.
All right, here we go. All right, let's go. What's up, Zach? How you doing?
Hello, Brandon. How are you doing?
I gotta forget to look this way. Okay. All right. So today we are talking about the Nephilim. And actually, I wanted to start it off a little. This is going to be kind of maybe a little bit weird, a little bit awkward. I wanted to bring up a little just my own struggles and kind of basically this past week, especially this past week, kind of things I've been kind of going through and struggling through in my life. I don't know. I'm getting so fixed on myself and and wanting to accomplish things. And I think I don't even know what it is. I think lately it's just been like an influence of outside forces. I don't know. Do you ever feel like a cloud just comes over you and you just like,
Absolutely.
I mean, like, and it's like at different times, it's not always the same. And I especially this past week, it's been really weird because it's just like things that I had motivation for, things that I had like joy in, and things that I had like peace about. Lately, like it has been completely turned on its head and it's not been the same. I've been really struggling with it, and I've almost having to try to go above and beyond my own mind to try to break out of it, because lately I've just been really deeply struggling with that. And I don't know what it is. I think it's basically I think doing all this kind of stuff which is fairly new to me, and doing kind of videos and creating stuff, it's almost like it's wearing on me. And it's like, and I've only been doing it like a very short window of time, and I can't even imagine people that do it all the time. And it's like almost the best word to describe it is fatigue. I've almost experienced like a fatigue. I don't know what it is, but it's been kind of weird lately. And I don't know. Do you ever have like anything like that? Like you just like,
I don't do what you do, but I can the only way I can understand it in the same way as you do is a kind of fatigue would be is I work out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like after a while you go 4 or 5 days in a row, you're just like, my body needs a rest.
Oh yeah.
That's only the kind of comparison I can make towards what you're thinking or whatever. But,
Yeah.
But I think it's close comparison. Maybe it's not with the mind or whatever, but it's kind of just the body also just kind of feels like it needs a little rest. It needs a little kind of vacation from what's going on and what's going on. So because I've always heard about that if you can make something a little bit different than what you did the last time, it shocks your body.
Oh, yeah.
It shocks your body, whether it's the mind or whether it's just your physical thing or whatever. It shocks your body, and that will wear you out right there.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, but the thing that you got, it's got to be all planned out. It's got to be ready to go and everything like that. And I don't know. I hope I make sense of what I'm saying or whatever. But you really just got to when you shock your body, you got to just take that thing that will help the protein afterward.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like maybe with your body, it's different than you take your mind a little differently or whatever. You take something differently to help your mind kind of regenerate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah. So like that's like completely like what I'm thinking. I mean, because for me, it's just like life in general. And I battle so much in my mind. And I made a video this previous week of basically of just the demons getting in your head and just kind of, and it's so subtle. It's so subtle because like it's, I don't know what it is. It's like they can have an influence on me. And I and who knows whether it's like outside forces of demons or it's just like chemical things happening in my body, and or if it's a combination of both. I don't know what it is, but it's like for me, seriously, I've really had a really tough time lately, and I don't know. I think I just need to almost take a step back and kind of rejuvenate and kind of come back, because like I don't know. I don't know if it's just allowing things, outside things, and just kind of the worries of this life they just come start piling up. They just add on, they just on top of each other. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, and I keep on going back to working out. I really don't notice anything after I've taken some days off or whatever. You're like, man, I was doing pretty good. I was doing pretty good after 4 or 5 days off or whatever. It's like you see your body, you feel better and everything like that. And you're like, that's all you need was just a little rejuvenation or whatever. But it'll come after a little bit of time, because if you're doing the right thing, and which we know we are, and we hope you are, it's going to take a little. With all that work comes a little. You need some rejuvenation.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, life is a marathon. It's not like a sprint.
Absolutely.
It's like life is such a marathon because it's you. That I don't know if you heard the expression. The years are like, what is it? No, the days are long and the weeks are long, but the years happen almost in an instant. I don't know if I probably butchered that, but like it's like you look back in your life, and it's like I can almost remember when I was 10 years old. I can remember when I was, in my teens, and it's like that was like almost yesterday. And but then like when you're in the thick of it, when you're kind of in the midst of the battle and the fog of war happening in life, I consider it like almost the fog of war, because we might not be physically out there, shooting guns and guns blazing and bullets flying by, but it's like it's still like a mental battlefield, that we're going through. We have to wake up each morning and like go about our day and try to just like get through the day without wanting to just it to be over. Sometimes I might make things out more worse than they really are. Sometimes I tend to do that. I don't know if it's drama.
Yeah, drama.
Dramatize it. Like, I don't know. I just try.
Yeah.
I think I do that sometimes. To me, like I fall into the category of everything's the end of the world sometimes, just basically because of maybe my general makeup, like how I feel about things. I don't know. That's the thing where I was looking for, catastrophize things. When it's really not that as big as it is, and I think just everybody has a different makeup, they're the way that they're kind of put together. But so like what I'm like talking about with this, and what I even wanted to bring it up with talking about this, my own struggle, is basically the metaphorical giants that we experience in our life, because we have them. We are all in a sense David going against Goliath. We are the little man going against the big man out there. And how are we going to, with our little limited equipment? David, when he approached Goliath was this monstrous of a man that had this armor that David probably couldn't even carry. And he was like, and David approached him with like 4 stones and a slingshot, basically, and he destroyed Goliath with that. And it's like, how do we, with our limited like equipment that we go into life with, whether it's our mental capacity, our abilities, whatever we have, how are we going to make a difference in this world? And I think that's the struggle I have, is I want my life to be significant. And it's how we judge our lives. Like we look at other people when I don't know. I'm just so different because
you're not different.
I struggle because
I want the way that other people feel.
I want to feel like I'm making an impact in other people's lives. But when you feel like you don't get that reciprocation, like you don't see the other side of the fence. You don't see how anything I'm doing is making a difference. And I think that's the biggest thing. I crave significance.
Which is natural. It's just a human instinct to want to just have something you come back at you and say, hey, thank you. But it doesn't happen that way. It really doesn't happen that way. You guys just kind of live your life as a soldier. as a soldier, man.
Oh yeah.
You really just live as a soldier. You get your orders and you just live them by that and not worry about what people think.
Exactly. I know what you mean. Like,
Yeah, but
it's tough. It's tough putting your feelings and your experiences and how you outlook on life. It's tough to put it into words. You feel like sometimes you just don't have the words to put it together and make sense of it. But I think we can take that back to, if we look at it from God's perspective, like God sees our heart. It's like, I'm always like, when I come to God in prayer, I'm like to God, I don't even know what to say. I wouldn't even know what to say. And even if I did know what to say, you would know it before it even came out of my mouth. So what's the point of saying anything? And I just, but it's like, he sees your heart. He sees what you're even trying to get out. And like, that's the struggle sometimes, and I'm just, and I have heavily been like lately, and I just wanted to get this, like, I'm wanting to, what I'm doing, what I'm spending my time doing, what I'm trying to go for, what I'm trying to build and create, like wanting to see quick results. And it's not that there's not an instant quick result button. It's like it's like a button that you push, then it's going to take almost years before you see the fruits of it. And it's like, I want something microwavable. I put it in, and
that's what we all want.
yeah, we want it. It's like, I want it right at my fingertips. I want it ready. I want it, and it's just a struggle. I don't know if any of this, what I'm saying, is making sense.
Oh yeah, there's a motivational YouTube thing out there, and I sent it to my brother. It talks about keep showing up.
Oh, I love that video. That was so good. I love that.
That's what it does. I mean,
it's just over and over. Yeah, that was good.
You get tired, keep showing up. It doesn't work out, keep showing up. Whatever, you just keep showing up, and when eventually you're going to show. It's going to show that staircase is going to. You don't think you're even going above that staircase because you're like in a pain, you're in a hurt, and you're saying, why are you doing this or whatever.
Yeah.
But eventually you're going to see that staircase and you're going to look down and you're going to be like, my God, I moved up about a whole God knows who much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like,
that's how you got to treat life. You know what I mean? Because life's not easy.
No.
Life. Yeah, it ain't for the easy people.
It's so hard. It's like, and I always think we have a snapshot. We always see right now. We have now. Like, this is like really all we are promised. Really, is this moment we have right now. And all you have is the now that is right in front of you. I don't know what turned me into like that darkness. I don't know what. Like, that's why it's like it was such a flip of the switch that it happened. It just came over me this past week, and it's just like trying to do my own thing and trying to out motivate myself so I can still, because I'm all about I almost like I have to just say it out loud. I have to speak over the loud screaming voices that are in my head and be louder than those voices. And it's sometimes it's just tough. It just wears on you to the point of just like, I can't keep going,
I hear you, man.
But I was saying, like, what with it in this context, what we're going to deal with is like with the giants we have metaphorically that we every day have to encounter and face, whatever it is, getting up and going about our day, being like the person that we want to be, having an influence in people's lives, and just like, just taking care of our life and those around us. Like, those struggles that we go through, whatever it is, everybody has them, name. I could say it to anybody and they hear this, and you could probably think of 10 things what you're going through, and how am I going to get through the day? How am I going to have my life make a difference? And those are the giants that I see, those metaphorical giants. But when I wanted to bring this up as in the Nephilim, this is the giants of the Bible. And I know we talked about this briefly, but how familiar you are with the Nephilim. Had you ever heard of this?
No.
Like, before I even brought it up, maybe this past week, I said that this is kind of what we're going to be talking about. So about the Nephilim, I'll start it off with is they are basically the giants in the Bible that we hear about. It's translated differently in different translations. I think from the Latin is where we got the giants translation, the Latin Vulgate. I think that's where they got it, but it's also the literal word itself is Nephilim, that is from the Hebrew, and it means the fallen ones. Good. All right. Did not come prepared, Zach. Okay. All right. Ta-da! I got a Bible in front of us, so like it might just appear.
Awesome.
Okay, so all right. So in the Bible, this is basically the launching point of the Nephilim when it talks about this. I'm going to read this passage and we're going to just basically go over it, and I would just want to hear what you think about it after you hear all this. All right, so this is Genesis chapter 6. So from the Message, it says, when the human race began to increase, with more and more daughters being born, the sons of God noticed that the daughters of men were beautiful. They looked them over and picked out wives for themselves. Then God said, I'm not going to breathe life into men and women endlessly. Eventually, they're going to die. From now on, they can expect a lifespan of 120 years. This was back in the days, and also later, when there were giants in the land. The giants came from the union of the sons of God and the daughters of men. These were the mighty men of ancient lore, the famous ones. So this is where, like, people that are try to discredit the Bible, they will kind of bring up and say, well, look what the Bible says. It talks about giants. Well, giants are things of fairy tales, Jack and the Beanstalk kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this is all right. So this is, I'll give you kind of a general overview of what's happening, then and my thoughts. Actually, I might want to see what you think of it first, and I'll kind of tell what I think. But basically, it's back then. There's different viewpoints. There's the viewpoint of these sons of God were actually angels, because in the Bible, the angels are called the sons of God in many places. And then also there's a different interpretation that says the sons of God were just regular human beings, but they were descended from Seth, the godly line of Adam. So like it was like almost like the godly line of Adam started going and intermingling and marrying with basically sinful women.
I'm sure you guys all worry about a dog barking in the background.
No, but that would probably bring happiness to people. People love hearing that. Basically, it's there's two different viewpoints, and the one viewpoint is just basically regular human beings that were of a godly line of Seth. They started marrying with the line of Cain. You've heard of Cain? Have you heard of Cain?
Cain and Abel?
Yeah, Cain and Abel.
Yeah, he was the bad dude.
Cain and Abel. Cain was the
He was
one.
the brother that killed his brother.
Yeah, he was the one that killed. They were Adam and Eve's sons, and Cain killed Abel. He was jealous of Abel. So it's the lineage or the descendants of Cain, and then the lineage and the descendants of the godly line of Seth. So later on, Adam had another son that was Seth, and that's kind of the line that the Messiah would come through. There's that component of it. So there's two viewpoints. Does that make sense at all? Like what I've kind of described as in Cain?
Wow.
Cain's. So that viewpoint is, and this is where I used to stand. Actually, what do you think of all of it? And first of all, like before I even kind of like explain.
Cain and Abel?
No, about the sons of God intermarrying with the daughters of men. Like how when you.
I don't know, but I'm listening. I don't know. It's still there, but it was good. I don't understand. Maybe you need.
So like the sons of God, like basically, when you hear sons of God, what do you think?
Jesus.
Jesus.
Son of God, Jesus.
When it says sons of God, like
I could be, I don't know, angel. I don't know, man. I might be like a lot of other people in this that'll be watching this. I don't know, maybe not, but that just don't understand that they don't think that deep into it or whatever. You know what I mean, well, just the sons of God were. I don't know what that's the angels.
Yeah, so that's the difference, and I'm doing a piss poor job of explaining this. Okay, so. The sons of God are understood in some contexts as basically just regular people, as in, and they're called sons of God because they trust in God and they believe in God and they're of the godly line.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're just regular people. But then there's the other viewpoint, which is sons of God are actually angels, because in like different passages of the Bible, it talks about, like in Job, when God's creating the world and creating everything, it says that he created the angels first. And it says the sons of God were there, and they were basically singing as God was creating the world and bringing it into existence. So that, and then also another passage, it talks about in the very beginning of Job, it says that the sons on this day, the sons of people are gonna love that. This is Jack.
A crazy dog.
He's a crazy dog. We're having to get security with the dog. The escort.
I mean, I'm sure everybody needs a little bit of time to think about this because I don't know what the heck's going on. Anybody else know what's going on?
Where am I? Where am I?
Where
Okay,
am
okay, okay. All right. So
Yeah,
it's basically these two general interpretations of what it is. The sons of God were these angels, because in the very beginning of Job, it talks about the on this day the sons of God approach God, and then Satan with them. And when it says sons of God, it's clearly meaning angels. So angels are like, they're a lot similar to human beings, but they're not human beings, but they can take the form of human beings. Like, so that's that's the general viewpoint. So before I even kind of like say where I stand or what I go with, out of those two viewpoints, do you have one way or the other, or do you view that passage as something completely different? All right, so I'll read it again, this so you can kind of hear it and how you take it when you hear this, because I want to get this. I want to hear like somebody that has not encountered this at all, because there's probably a lot of people out there that have not, that they haven't even thought about this. There's probably years into my Christian life that I was even introduced to what's this whole concept. When the human race began to increase with more and more daughters being born, the sons of God noticed that the daughters of men were beautiful. They looked them over and picked out wives for themselves. So it's kind of like, if these are just regular men, why does Moses, who I believe is the author of Genesis, why does he call them the sons of God? What's his purpose of
Moses is the author of the Genesis?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Moses is the author of Genesis through like the first 5 books of the Bible. Yeah, and that's a heavily debated thing in itself. But
Why is that debatable?
because people just want to discredit the Bible. They want to say it's not, like, they want to see it as it was all editors put this all together over years and everything. Like, no one man could have wrote all that, like this what he wrote and put together, and it had to be heavily there. I would say there were times that it was edited, of course, but the main authority of in saying it's Moses, I would say, is Jesus himself called it Moses. He said that it was Moses who wrote the 5 books. It was, whenever people talk about the law, they use the word law and Moses interchangeably. The first 5 books were attributed to him and understood that they were written by him. So he wrote this. So hearing that, what do you think when just when you just hear that, what are you picturing? What are you seeing when
Moses?
I know with him writing about the human race, when daughters were born, the sons of God noticed that the daughters of men were beautiful.
Yeah.
They looked them over and picked out wives for themselves.
What happened to the wives that were not picked out?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's good. So it's
I don't understand very well, to be honest with you, but yeah, this is,
and really this is more, it's not salvational, it's not going to influence your salvation one way or the other. But it's trying to understand what, in the context of the Bible, as in a real story, a real event that took place, that the sons of God, when they married and had children with regular women, like as in angels, and we get this story, we get this little snippet of it from Genesis, but then there's another book that we're going to talk about in a bit called Enoch, the Book of Enoch, and it goes into very thorough detail of the event of this taking place. And the story goes is God had 200 angels that he sent to earth to tutor and teach men and women how to live godly lives. And they were called the Watchers. You've ever heard of the Watchers? Have you ever heard of the Watchers?
the movie? No, I am out there, boys. I hope.
So, so they were called the Watchers, and basically what they did, these 200 angels, they went down to earth, and instead of teaching them the ways of God and teaching them good things, they taught them evil things. That's where like astrology came from, where all these different arts, they taught them how to war, like go to war, and they taught them a lot of evil things. And then it says that they took women to themselves and then had children. Like, imagine angels having children with women. And basically what came of when the women had the babies or whatever, they were a hybrid of angelic human babies. And that's kind of what the Nephilim is. And that's what I know it's kind of weird to even think about, but that's
kind of weird. No, it's yeah.
This is almost like Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'll sit back here with you guys and just listen, and that's all we can do. And I'll ask the stupid questions.
No, and so what happened there was, and then so there's this hybrid race of angelic human children and people that became giants, and that we know as the giants of the Old Testament. They were huge, actually huge people, and it says they were cannibals. They just destroyed, and they were just wreaked havoc on the human race. And then what this is the understanding that came about was why the flood occurred in this viewpoint of if these were angels, because a lot of people, and I didn't myself, always believe
in Noah's time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. People. Yeah. Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
They might have heard that.
Yeah, Noah's Ark. Yeah, this is during Noah's time and Noah's Ark. And why the flood occurred was basically to wipe out this hybrid race of human beings. Because it's like, why did the angels want to do this? Why did they want to go in and have children with these women? And there's different viewpoints as like, were they trying to stop the messianic line of Jesus coming into the world kind of thing? Were they trying to do something to thwart God's plan? Or were they just trying to be evil and because we got to keep in mind, angels themselves were made good. But then just like Adam and Eve fell, Adam and Eve sinned, the angels themselves sinned, and a portion of them sinned and became evil. And that's why Satan himself was an angel.
Oh yeah,
who had fallen.
Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. People don't understand. I don't know. I think people are not even that understandable. You're getting deep with it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people don't understand that the devil at one time, when they think of the angel, I guess I was told that, but some people don't know that the devil at one time was an angel.
He was a good angel, yeah.
He was a good angel, one of the tops.
Oh yeah, the top, yeah. It's like,
and he was sent down. You know what I mean? Because of his.
It says he had pride in his heart. He wanted to be like God. They were jealous that God made these human beings out of dirt and out of clay, and that he is almost giving them a position, almost in a way higher than them. And they were jealous and they did not like it. And that's almost why they rebelled, because we tend to forget this, how unique and special we are. And everything in this world, this skeptical world that we live in, of scientists and all this and scholars, they want to discredit and destroy the Bible and destroy the thought of it. They want to make us as insignificant as possible. We're just this random human species that is on this planet, and it's like there's millions of other galaxies out there. There's probably thousands of other people out there as well, and they want to make us seem like that we're nothing. All we did, we evolved from apes, and we just evolved, and we just somehow attained this level of consciousness. So the Bible makes it clear that we are made in the image of God, and God, he loved us enough that even though we sinned, he wanted to save us. Because it's so easy to forget that the angels, when they sinned, when they did evil, that God didn't give them another chance. He didn't give them a way to be forgiven. He gave them justice, but the human race, he gave the opportunity for grace. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying my best to understand that. I understand. Yeah. I mean, it's, but I don't know. The guy keeps popping up in my head is there's no atheist in a foxhole.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I'm way off or whatever, but
I don't think you are.
There's no atheist in a foxhole. You know what I mean? People want to believe in something. So, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the most powerful thing I think there is. When people, they want to discredit everything in the whole world, or, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's what I don't understand. You know what I mean? But
yeah, but it's like we are where we live and who we are, and like on this planet, it's like we are so perfectly positioned. We are a privileged planet. Like if we were so any closer to the sun, we'd be burned up. If we were any further away, we would freeze to death in an instant. I don't know. It's just like, we are special. We are very special. And it's like everything in this world wants to tell you the opposite, because we want to think I'm not, but God did make us special. Every person you encounter with is extremely special. They have an eternal soul. Their soul is going to be with God forever or not be with God forever. And it's like our lives matter, and like the things that we do is making true impact on others, So talking about the Nephilim. So I hope have I made like what the Nephilim are. Like, does that make sense at all? What they're a hybrid of human and angelic beings, and they are giants.
Yeah, it sounds very Lord of the Rings to
It
me.
is, yeah, yeah, and that's why it's like for the longest time I pushed against this. I did not. I think I went like whenever I first became a Christian, I'd never really been introduced to this concept. I just went because the common view among most people is that like I said at the beginning, just the godly line of Seth intermarrying with the sinful line of Cain, and that's all it was. There's no angelic influence at all, and I think for the most of Christianity, as in like from probably Augustine's time till probably like the 16 or 1700s. During that time period, this whole idea of this event happening, for the most part, it was just kind of forgotten because the Book of Enoch. I know we're to get into this, but have you ever heard of the Book of Enoch?
I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't describe it that well.
And I had to like do some research about it.
Book of Enoch is that same thing as Book of Eli? Is that?
Oh no.
Same thing. Okay.
The book.
I never heard of Book of Enoch.
You never heard? Okay, all right. So this is good. All right, so
This is good.
The Book of Enoch. So I like how you said the Book of Eli because in that movie it's just basically the Bible, right?
Yeah,
we think. Well, I don't want to give anything away. You know, you never know. People haven't seen it. Who knows? But the Book of Enoch itself is a book that is attributed. We understand that it wasn't written by Enoch himself. Do you know who Enoch is?
no. Enoch was in the Genesis.
Yeah. All right. So this is Enoch in the Bible, and of course there are many people that are named the same thing. But when you bring up Enoch, for the most part, people understand which Enoch you're talking about because this is the guy. There's two guys in the Bible that did not die. In human history, there's been two people that did not die. Did you know that? So Enoch did not die, and then Elijah, he did not die. And those are the only two people in the Bible that never died. All right, so this is before the flood happened. This is before Noah came on the scene, but it talks about Enoch. All right, so when Enoch was 65 years old, he had Methuselah. Enoch walked steadily with God. After he had Methuselah, he lived another 300 years, having more sons and daughters. Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Enoch walked steadily with God, and then one day he simply was gone. God took him. So basically, he's of one person, and Elijah, who came years and years later, it says that chariots of fire came down and just took him and took Elijah, so he did not die. The Book of Enoch, it's not written by him. We understand that it's not really truly written by him, but it's written from his perspective. And it was written 200 BC, or that's the time frame that we think it was. So I mean, I guess I put the Enoch out there. What did you think about that? Like when you're talking about Enoch, that person that lived, it says he lived 365 years and then he was gone. God took him. He didn't die. He's like,
that blows your mind, man. Blows your mind. I mean, but 365.
Can you imagine that? I mean, like I'm almost 40, and it's like I can't even imagine living. I mean, I would be like a little baby compared to like 365. But like Noah himself, it says that he lived up to 900 years. Methuselah lived.
Methuselah, is that
he lived the longest.
Yeah,
Methuselah.
What am I thinking of when there all those? Did he have all those things coming out of his head?
Or is that like from the movie Noah? I don't know.
I don't know. No, it's not from Noah.
He had things like a real person.
Methuselah always gives me this idea of this character that had a lot of things coming out of her.
Are you
stone? And then you looked at her, she would turn you into stone or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Is that like from the Never-Ending Story?
I don't know. Jeez, I could have sworn they were the same name.
Well, Methuselah, he's known as the person that lived the longest. He lived 969 years.
Jeez.
So this is pre-flood. So this is why people think people lived longer then as opposed to now. In that time frame, well, first of all, they were perfect human beings, and they lived in a world that we think is like the greenhouse effect. What ages us is almost, I don't know if it's radiation or whatever, but like there was like a layer of something that protected the earth and that prevented people from aging as quickly, as opposed to, because after the flood occurred, then you start seeing people living 600 years, 500 years, 400, like, and it not living as long. And then till you get to like Moses' time, it says that Moses and then Joshua, they lived to about like 120 years old. And then like, even since then, our average lifespan is probably around 100, I don't know if that's average, but some people still get up. But this is where it all started. This is like, because it says that, like I said, that one verse, it says Genesis chapter 6 verse 3, then God said, I'm not going to breathe life into men and women endlessly. Eventually they're going to die. From now on, they can expect a lifespan of 120 years. So that like at that time, like this is like almost probably 5,000 years, we think, ish, or 4,000 years, whoever knows, when the, I don't think, it depends on whether you have a view of a young Earth or a old Earth, like whether, like how long the human race has been here. But if we have the young Earth in view, this could have been around like maybe 4,000 years before Christ or 5,000 years before Christ that this is happening. And at that time, God says, I'm not going to let people live as long, and their average lifespan is going to be 120 years. And even since then, like we don't live as long as then. But yeah,
they really had that.
Huh? Yeah.
It's crazy.
That they, oh yeah, and this is like something that like prevented me from.
But also I don't like to be a skeptic at all.
No, but be a skeptic, because
when you talk to just a normal Joe about somebody that lived 900 years.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna be like, "Are you nuts?"
It's like you might want to hold that in your back pocket, maybe not put that out front. If you want people to believe in God and Christ, like why would you tell them that? But it's like and that's something that kept me like for the longest time from trusting in the Bible. Was like I thought it was fairy tales, and I was like, what about the dinosaurs? How do we fit them into it, and all that? And I had to get over those kind of intellectual hurdles, like as in making it in a way that I could understand it, and I did, like just researching it and trying to figure it out, and it made sense. And then it's like I had to come to the terms with, well, the Bible, it says it, and like I don't fully understand how they were, but like, what did the writers of the Bible have to gain by saying people were that? They were almost just like telling it how it is, and then, but it does make sense that if there was that perfect almost world that people lived in, and then after the flood, it says it's almost like the greenhouse was destroyed, and it says water broke through from above, and then the water broke through from below, which is why almost this whole world where you can find out like seashells on top of mountains. It's almost like the result of like the flood. That's how I understand it. It makes me want to go to Kentucky where there's that Noah's Ark kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
That'd be cool.
Just to see all that about. All right. So about the Book of Enoch. So what I was talking about with that brought up the character of Enoch. That's who it's kind of, the writer in the 200 BC who wrote that, he took on and he did it from the perspective of Enoch, but obviously he's not Enoch, but he's writing from his perspective. That becomes really interesting because the New Testament authors, they quote from the Book of Enoch itself, and they quote passages from it. They had to have known that it wasn't truly Enoch writing it, but they still used it in a way that to drive home their point of, and I can even pull up what they actually quoted and what they said to him, but they were mainly they were dealing with false teachers, and almost like they were like showing like how the angels who were supposed to be good angels to come down and teach humanity how to live and do good things, the apostles are dealing with false teachers within the church that look good, and they're supposed to be teaching God's people right things, and they start teaching evil things to people and start seducing and taking women to themselves. And the apostles use that example of what happened way back in Genesis with Enoch, these angels doing that same thing with these women and intermingling with them and then having children, the Nephilim. So I hope I hope I haven't lost you. I hope it makes sense.
No,
I do. I probably do a terrible job.
no,
explaining
no.
it.
I mean, it's not probably not easy to do that. It's probably not so easy until that. Man, it's not easy at all. Don't worry about that. But I believe that the more you hear it, the more you learn about it, the more you understand it. So
Yeah. And the main thing is, yeah. So, like, just talking about any of this stuff, like the Book of Enoch itself was written around, like I said, 200 BC. It almost, okay. After the destruction of the temple in the first century, the Book of Enoch fell off the planet. But it really didn't. It was just only kept within the Ethiopic church. I say it was kept with the Ethiopic church, like that version, that community of people. They had the Book of Enoch, and they kept it safe and secure. But it wasn't until like 1700, the year 1700. I forget the exact year, but I have it in here. In 1773, a Scottish traveler, James Bruce, returned from Abyssinia, modern day Ethiopia. So he was in Ethiopia, and he returned with 3 copies of the Ethiopic manuscript. And this marked the first significant reintroduction of the Book of Enoch to the Western world. So almost like 1700 years later, like basically the Western world had no idea of this Book of Enoch of existing. And then after he did that, he discovered that and brought it back, and people started translating it and bringing the copies into existence again, writing them over again, so people had them readily available. But it wasn't until like even in this past century, in the 1900s, the 20th century, that you've heard of have you heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls?
yeah,
The Dead Sea Scrolls. So basically, the Dead Sea Scrolls were from a community of believers. And I wouldn't say they were Christian, not that they believed in Christ, but they were Jewish, and they believed in the God of Israel. They were Jewish people. They were called the Essenes. They were this community of of believers that trusted in God, and they wrote, or they were very strict on, like, you would almost think of a monk, a monk that separates himself and goes out, and they're like from the world. They were like that version of people, but they were Jews, and they were a Jewish sect of religion. And in that community, the Essenes, they were the ones that wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. And basically, when they got kind of, I don't know, run out, or they had to escape when Rome was destroying their land, and they took over and destroyed the temple and destroyed Jerusalem. Basically, they are scattered and they left. The Dead Sea Scrolls, they were discovered by this like Bedouin shepherd who went in and I think he was just like throwing rocks in a cave, and he heard a glass shatter, and he went in there in the in the 1900s, and he found all these scrolls and everything like that, and that was kept safe for about 1900 years.
where do you find that at?
So, like, I wonder if I have that written down.
You said Ethiopia or no?
This was for the Dead Sea Scrolls themselves.
The Dead Scrolls, yeah, they had those come into Kansas City for a little while. Then they had the
Oh,
Union
yeah.
Station.
Oh yeah. I wish I would have saw it.
I think Mom and Dad went.
Did they go see that?
Yeah.
I wish I would. That was a miss, but that's so cool that did happen. This is Dead Sea Scrolls discovery, 1947 through 1956. Portions of Enoch. So this is when Enoch, the books of Enoch, First Enoch, were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It says portions of First Enoch were discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran, confirming its ancient Jewish origin and wide usage during the Second Temple period. This discovery provided critical evidence of the text's early history and significance. So that is itself pretty incredible. Like that
they matched up.
Yeah, it's like these manuscripts that people had discredited. Like, it would be so easy to say, oh, there's no the text that we have, they were just corrupted and changed, and since they were translated so much, they're not reliable. But then we almost get like this glimpse back into almost 200 years and before Christ, and also during the time of Christ, of how the exact texts themselves looked, and there's like no differences really. There's no like substantial difference. There's always differences of, is this you plural or we, or like there's like minute details, but there's no strong difference or things that actually have any big theological difference on how we understand God or the Bible. That's what is so incredible about it. So in the Book of Enoch, like I talked about, the Book of Enoch is this interpretation of this event that happened back in Genesis, where it goes into very detail of it, of all those events, of the angels coming down and them actually cohabitating and having children with the daughters of men, and that's where this race of giants came out. And then in the flood, it says the race of giants were destroyed. But then it gets kind of even crazier. It gets even crazier because it talks about that the Nephilim, even after the flood, came back. And it's like, because we see the Nephilim alive in the days of Joshua, in the days of Moses, there's Nephilim there. Goliath himself would have been a descendant of kind of like these hybrid humans.
Are they good or bad?
That's the thing. It's like these hybrid humans that they were cannibalistic. They probably looked like regular people, but they're just ginormous. And that's why it's like I see in movies, like there's this thing about everything about blood, like how many movies have you thought about there's a vampire and why there's vampires, and all that. Like, well, a lot of this descended from people were truly they would drink people's blood and they would do that. And it's like, it's the opposite of what God wants, because he commanded to not drink blood. That was like a very strong commandment, because it says the life of the flesh is in blood. And these Nephilim people or whoever were doing the exact opposite. They did not like God. They did not want God. And they would go and do everything they could to do everything that he doesn't want, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
he's part, but I don't understand, the Nephilim people aren't they part angel?
Yeah.
Why would they be so bad?
Because they were the angels that rebelled. They were the angels that, and I should actually pull up, and I definitely want to read these two passages, because these are,
because when you think of angels, should you stop thinking just as angels as good? Are angels good constantly? Are they, or should you think of them as maybe possibly bad too?
Yeah, that's the difference. I mean, there's
but what's the, why can't you just call it a demon?
Yeah, I would say a demon is like basically a fallen angel.
Yeah.
But that's where it gets tricky, and I wanted to kind of talk about this, is that, let me get the page first. So these angels, so when we talk about demons, I think demons, or you could just use as fallen angels. That's kind of what it is. But then it kind of gets kind of crazy to me, because these Nephilim people that would have lived, they died, and the understanding of what the actually demons are might not be necessarily angels, or it might be the spirits of these Nephilim creatures that are still hanging around, that they are the ones doing these evil things, like in the New Testament, where we see these demons kind of having demonic possession and all that. That's actually what's happening. These spirits that descended from the Nephilim. So whether they are full fledged angels, or they might just be this hybrid creation of, does that make sense? Hybrid creation of angels and people that they died, and now they're just showing up and they're influencing people in this world. They're like,
yeah,
it's different, but like I would, that's why I think in our last video when we talked about angels and demons, I was like, kind of, are demons the same thing as fallen angels? And I really, like, technically, in my view, like, I don't know if I see demons as the exact same as fallen angels. I see them as like this offspring of Nephilim that have died, and just that they are the spirits that are still hanging around, that have like still power, and they're still trying to destroy us. But they didn't go to heaven, they didn't go to hell. They're just kind of still here, kind of thing. Because it talks about the angels themselves, and we're going to get into this passage, when those 200 angels, where it's that rebelled and that taught the people these evil things, and that then intermingled with the women and had children, the Nephilim. These angels, when they sinned and did this, God he cast them into what's called Tartarus. Tartarus is basically the bottom, the very depths, the deepest part of hell, where it's the darkest blackness imaginable. It's almost pulled from Greek thought and Hellenistic thought, as in like this abode that is even deeper than hell itself. It's like, and it says that God cast these angels that did this to Tartarus. And basically they are there to await until the final judgment that's going to happen at the end of it, at the end of the age, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to read this. This is 2 Peter. I'm talking way too much during this, Zach.
I'm just trying to learn. I'm sure it takes a lot of words to understand this. Yeah, this has been a real wide awakening experience.
Like this is, I feel like I'm just like talking so much.
This is hard for me to understand.
I'm probably brutally dismantling this. Like this.
The best thing I can do is just sit back and ask questions and just say that maybe I'm asking the same questions that the people that are watching this are too.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Maybe there's people that understand this better than I do, but maybe there are also people that don't understand this as much as I do.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe I can help them ask that question that they need to ask.
Oh, yeah. This is 2 Peter 2:2-3. And this is Peter talking. It's so different reading from this version. It's just different because it's very thoughtful and it's almost reading like a book, like as in like a story that like really makes it come alive. And so that's like the difference between like when you read it literally, like you're getting the exact wording from word for word, but sometimes it doesn't flow as well. But as opposed to something that makes it more understandable,
which I like.
Yeah. But then but keeping in mind that whenever it's like that, it's almost
it's interpretation.
Yeah. The person who's writing that, it's like their interpretation.
So you understand that.
Yeah. All right. So this is 2 Peter 2:2-3. It says that Peter talking about these false teachers, and he's all right. So I'm just gonna read this. 2 Peter 2:4-5. God didn't let the rebel angels off the hook, but jailed them in hell till judgment day. Neither did he let the ancient ungodly world off. He wiped it off with a flood, rescuing only 8 people. Noah, the sole voice of righteousness, was one of them. Jude doesn't use the exact word Tartarus because that was like a word that was specifically used in Greek as in poetic. I think Homer, if you've ever heard of Homer, not Homer Simpson.
Yeah, but, I know what you're talking about.
Homer of like, they wrote the Odyssey and the Iliad and all that. It was in that thought of, they understood like this abode of the dead, and Tartarus was this very deep, far-reaching point of the dead. The blackest darkness. And Peter uses that in his writing. All right, so this is Jude, who's writing the book of Jude. It's only a very short read if you ever read it. It's basically one chapter, and it was a letter of his to this community of faith. And he writes, he's quoting directly from the book of Enoch itself. He says, Enoch, the 7th after Adam, prophesied of them. Look, the master comes with thousands of holy angels to bring judgment against them all, convicting each person of every defiling act of shameless sacrilege, of every dirty word they have spewed of their pious filth. These are the complainers, the belly archers, grabbings for the biggest piece of the pie, talking big, saying anything they think will get them ahead. That's an interesting like translation of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like only one verse. Okay. All right, so I had to get a different version just so I could kind of follow it a little bit better. And then the message, it was a little bit tough for me. All right, so this is Jude chapter 1, and it talks about, this is only one verse that says, Jude chapter 1, verse 6, and the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. So I don't think in that specific verse he uses the word Tartarus, but he uses basically that same kind of language. But in 2 Peter, Peter uses that word Tartarus, and it was very specific on what it meant. But these angels, it says they left their proper domain. It says who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode. So like they were not supposed to they wandered off the path. They went on a way that God did not want. And that's them kind of stepping down. And the understanding of it is that they went and had children with the daughters of men. And then God put them in this, the Tartarus or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty crazy when you think about all this. What do you think about all this, Zach?
I don't really know what to think. I really don't know what to think. It's something that I'm gonna have to probably be told, 3 or 4 more times to really understand this. But Tartarus.
Is that- Yeah, that's not a common word you hear these days.
Not at all.
Not at all. But yeah, like it's this. What do you just talking about all this stuff? I'm not gonna put this away. What we went through. What do you like think about any of this? Like, did you think that this is what we were gonna kind of go through? Did this make sense at all to you? Did it cause you to think of anything different or new, or is it?
It was really hard for me to understand, to be honest with you. But it's just like I said, it's gonna be something I have to learn again. That's a real complicated thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I think we went through something very complicated. So anybody that thinks that they don't understand it either, but you're on the same level as I am. But I think it'll be just like something that you hear enough, you understand it a little bit more. And it's also it goes against what you normally believe. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's almost like thinking of giants and thinking of people having a kid with an angel or something like that. That's a little out there, man.
Yeah.
But this is literally the first time I've ever heard of it. So we'll just see what I can learn from that and see how valuable it will be for me.
Yeah. It is really, it's not like something, to me, it's just an interesting idea and topic. And I know it is for a lot of people that are getting into this, because it does seem like this is mythology. Like this cannot be biblical. This is mythology. But really, when you get down to it, and that's why I pushed against it so much. And once I kind of I always view things in a lot of ways as in, which way do I lean? Which way do I kind of, out of both positions, which one do I have a little lean more towards? What I think has a more of a percentage chance of being the correct probability of what happened. And on this one, I'm definitely not 100% sure that this is what it is, as in this actually happened, but I lean towards it, and I say that these were angelic beings that had children with women, and they produced this offspring of the Nephilim. I would say I lean towards that. Probably if I threw a percentage on it, maybe like 65%. That's like how that's the accurate interpretation.
What are they still around?
That's a good question. And are they going to be coming back as we ramp up and get closer to the return of Christ? Is that going to be kind of a precursor that throws us into this crazy wave of events unfolding? Because another passage in the Bible talks about, Jesus said, he refers to his second coming, and he says, just like in the days of Noah, and he points back to that, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that just mean that they were caught off guard and then it just happened and nobody knew that the flood was going to happen? And that's going to be the same way that when Jesus returns, everybody's going to be like, we have no idea. Or was it in a similar fashion as in the things that people were doing in the days of Noah, are people going to be doing up until the point of Christ? Well, Zach, I think we covered a bunch of stuff. I hope it's been beneficial for everyone out there. I think I'm very thankful for everyone that's tuning in on these videos and on these topics. This is probably one that's a little more out there that we might not have been ready for it. But
that's why I was here, just to ask those stupid questions.
No, it was not stupid at all.
No, I know what you mean, but I do appreciate you guys watching.
Yeah. We'll hope you all have a wonderful week, and we all see you in the next one.
So we hold on and enjoy the ride. After all the ups and downs, this is our time. Enjoy the ride.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Your support means the world to me, and it helps keep the content coming. Until next time, stay blessed and keep shining.